What's the haps, peoples? It's me, Trees10. I know I haven't made a video in a while, in a long-ass while, and I'm not exactly the best YouTuber out there, but I figured I'd try out something different for my channel besides boring and mediocre voice acting. And I wanted to talk about something that keeps coming back to haunt me worse than William Afton. That is the MCU's newest entry to start off 2025. Captain America New World Order. Captain Falcon Brave New World. I don't mean to call him that, but can you blame me? Because that's literally what this is. Anyway, back on topic. Only one whole week, or what's left of the week at the time of recording, before this hits the big screen, and to this day, in close time, I'm still skeptical over the movie. Yes, even while writing the script, I was still skeptical about the newest addition to the MCU, and the newest addition to the Captain America movie franchise. And that's because it's not quite the same as the previous Captain America films. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't really feel the same as the previous Captain America films. That being, it doesn't have Steve Rogers. You know, the Captain America in the movie that has his name in the title, but don't worry, I'll get to personal biases later. And don't worry, they aren't too critical about Sam being Captain America, or Captain Falcon. Once again, that's literally what this is. Like, no disrespect to Sam Wilson, the character, or Anthony Mackie for that matter, but you cannot tell me that you didn't call him Captain Falcon at least once when you saw him don that suit. Maybe you didn't call him that the first time, but the joke certainly stuck around for me when I kept mistaking his name, which eventually led to me mistaking his name to the point where it just became a namesake for me. Yeah, no, go back to Smash Bros. Captain Dead franchise. I have to be honest, I'm one of the many people in the world who actually want this movie to succeed. To do good. Truthfully, I want this movie to really do good and succeed. But should it succeed? That, my friends, is where we reach a crossroads in this, because this movie has a lot of problems to it. Though to be fair, what movie doesn't have its fair share of problems? This movie in particular has problems that can and might kill it on its arrival. From the mass amount of reshoots to the poor test screenings which caused the reshoots, and now Anthony Mackie's recent comments. Look, I'm not going to get into it, the clip kind of speaks for itself, so I'm just going to do my best to stay away from it as much as I can. Now, I'm a comic book fan, let alone a fan of both Marvel and DC, the biggest comic book names and brands in the entire friggin' world. And like all nerds, I love superhero movies, because like a lot of us out there, I grew up with superhero movies. Critics hate them, but nerds like me love them. With some exceptions, of course. But when it comes to superhero movies, I'm primarily a big fan of trilogy-based movies, like the Chris Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, both the Sam Raimi and MCU Spider-Man trilogies, a little bit of Iron Man, and who could forget Captain America! And I gotta say, of all the trilogies that Marvel has to offer, Captain America is easily the best one of them all. Yeah, I hear you, Raimi fans, and I'm sorry, but sadly Spider-Man 3, despite its good moments, didn't quite hit the bullseye in 2007. In my honest opinion, I think the Captain America movies are the best in the MCU because of the fact that it had compelling character arcs, not just for the Captain, but also for the characters featured in the movies as well. Yes, even Sam. All three, and hopefully the fourth movie, had great storytelling, centering around the themes of morality and personal growth and discovery, paving the way for Steve Rogers to go from being a weak, small-town Brooklyn boy to the greatest American hero we all knew he could be. And the single best part of the Captain America trilogy is that its stories were more grounded compared to the cosmic tier, overblown super megadeth CGI of the majority of the MCU movies, and what looks to be the future of the MCU movies. Now we fall into the case of Captain Falcon America, Sam Wilson. Honestly, after the disappointment and slight embarrassment that was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam ever since Avengers Endgame has had some big shoes to fill ever since Steve called it a career and retired, passing down the shield to Sam, even though it should have logically got passed down to Bucky, but again, personal biases later. After wearing his new suit and upholding his new status as the new Captain America, Sam is certainly doing his best to fill Steve's shoes, like how he promised back in Endgame. The question is, can he live up to the name and position of Captain America? And to do that, he'll have to live up to these 4 core principles of not just the Captain America movies, but movies in general.
Good, that's good. Let's explore that.
One of, if not the most important part about a character or protagonist in this sense, in any project, show, movie, book, doesn't matter, is the impact they have on not just the other characters featured in said project, but the audience as well that is, viewing that project. And that impact either comes off as strong and positively received, or weak and needing improvement, or sometimes the rare case of the character is fine, but he or she has to work on some things or three. I get the feeling that Sam is sadly going to fall into that third category, and that's because he already had a strong and positive impact as the Falcon before he became Captain America. Don't get me wrong, Sam is still a great character in the MCU, and he's honestly as morally strong as Steve. But not only can he improve on those morals that his predecessor once held, but Sam in this movie and hopefully the future can become a principled and confined hero and leader to improve his journey on holding his title as Captain America and, leading the new Avengers. Whenever that's going to get formed. And lastly, make his journey as Cap in the MCU engaging for all audiences, let alone fans of the most successful movie franchise in history.
Do you really believe your own hype that much? I am the hype!
We all know the MCU is well versed in visual effects and non-stop badass action scenes. And really, who doesn't love some epic movie action scenes? Not just in the MCU, but honestly any movie that, is featured around the genre. But one thing that made the Captain America movies special was that the movies, although filled with a pantheon of action scenes and memorable moments, the trilogy mainly explored the themes of freedom, loyalty, the cost of war, and, all the things that symbolize the country that Steve fought for and the country that his title is named after. Sam is gonna have to, do what he promised to Steve in Endgame and follow in his footsteps in order to uphold and defend the same themes that his predecessor himself once fought and upheld to maintain. Now, in real life and the world of the MCU, times do change, especially for Sam, and those themes that he and Steve carried and carry on their shoulders are getting harder and harder to defend because, like time, people change as well, and people tend to have different ideals and opinions on all the things Sam and Steve both fought for and defended to their core. Sam adapting to these slight alterations to the thematic depth is something that he's going to have to interpret to show why Steve chose to pass the shield down to him. But
for me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
What are you smoking, Chief?
Yeah. We'll see when the movie comes out, I guess.
This we need to cook. Okay. Why are you wearing a chip?
If there's one thing the MCU has been lacking in recently, is quality for their projects. One of the most recent examples of this is What If Season 3, where the trailers promised a good, hyped-up storyline, but then, unfortunately, the inevitable happened, and we all got disappointed. And then we got blueballed with those other what-if plot lines at the end of the series fucking finale that looked way more interesting than anything we've seen in the entirety of What If. Except for maybe Ultron winning and Strange losing his heart instead of his hands, because honestly, I really love those episodes. You see where I'm going with this, right? The trailers for Cap 4 do the movie pretty solid in terms of promise, but that doesn't guarantee it'll be as good as we're making it out to be from the previews itself. The movie, of course, has a lot to explore for its own story and context, and they need to somehow fit it all into a 2-hour-long movie, which seems difficult, but they have done it before with Infinity War and Endgame. The only difference between Brave New World, Infinity War, and Endgame is that Brave New World is a standalone project, while the other two were big, groupy, and come-together movies. Although it's a bit more difficult to explore a lot of interesting criteria in, standalone movies, it is still possible. There's a heavy chance things could be rushed, but when it comes to story elements, Marvel, if they keep their heads out of their asses, rarely seem to fumble with it, and I hope they don't fumble with this movie when it comes to quality.
You come up with something that blows Callahan away, you're in. But it's gotta be great.
The most important part of a movie, hell, the most important part of any groundbreaking, memorable theatrical experience, which Marvel is desperately trying to make this film, is a great story above all else. And from the looks of the trailers, this is looking to go from an alright to holy crap, this was great story. This movie in particular needs to follow the same format the first 3 Cap movies institutionalized. That being that they were grounded to fit a relatable human experience. The kind of grounded and relatable human experience in cinematic form to make it accessible to a wider audience. Nay, wider audiences in general. The same kind of experience that makes us all remember not just Captain America, but other grounded superhero movies like the Dark Knight trilogy, Matt Reeves' Batman, and the Spider-Man movies. You know, all the Spider-Man movies, even No Way Home. Those movies we all remember and love despite the lack of super Megadeth CGI, again with the exception of No Way Home, because they were grounded and realistic to where we could picture ourselves in those movies as the main protagonist, even though it takes place in an albeit fictional world. And that is exactly what this movie, Captain America Brave New World, needs to follow to be memorable like the first 3 movies before it, and the aforementioned films as well. And yes, I know not every movie, let alone a superhero movie, needs to be grounded. It can be unrealistic and fantastical, and I agree. I love seeing incredible visual effects as well as some over-the-top spectacle super Megadeth CGI. But the thing is, at least to me, grounded movies are more interesting because of the suspense and the thrill that comes with it. Not to say fantastical and, unrealistic movies don't lack thrills, but to me, grounded and realistic movies do it better because we expect the authenticity to pump us as an audience up and have us on the edge of our seats when the real shit goes down. And, I gotta tell you, from what I see in the trailers of Brave New World, I think we're gonna get just that. Though, then again,
on the off chance I might have been wrong.
Alrighty then, now that we got those out of the way, we can move on to the easy part of the video. Personal biases!
I can explain.
Yeah, we all knew this was coming, and I have my reasons, and I pray to God they are good ones because unfortunately not everyone is gonna agree. But let's get down and dirty to business, shall we? And I just want to make it clear, no, this has absolutely nothing to do with race. It does, however, have to do with me not really being a fan of Sam as Captain America. I'm not saying he's a bad Captain America, nor was he a bad choice to be Captain America. Even if he made the odd choice to defend a domestic terrorist. Sam being chosen to wield the shield was certainly eyebrow-raising to say the least. And as a certain Scottish drinker put it, not only did this feel completely unearned, but it also left out the wasted potential of the far more logical choice to wield the shield, Bucky Barnes. The reason why I say he was the more logical choice to wield the shield is because not only did he grow up with Steve and become his best and oldest friend, but the two went through thick and thin together, especially during the age of Hydra at its strongest and, the entirety of World War II. And drinker, I didn't mean to copy homework, but when I watched that video you made, you took the words out of my mouth and you said it the best. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check the video out for yourselves.
Anyway,
Bucky and Steve both personify the same level of patriotism while living as men, soldiers, and, just fighting the good fight, making their country a safe place to be and live. The wasted potential part I was referring to was to how Bucky becoming the new Captain America will not only be a great game changer for the MCU, but it would also explore Bucky trying to right his wrongs after living his days and nights as a Hydra gopher. Him becoming the new Captain America would have also helped other heroes in the MCU, and, civilians for that matter, see that he is more than just a man trying to break away from his dark past, but he is also a man who truly wants to do the right thing and live by his best friend's moral codes while donning the title that Steve Rogers once wore as a symbol of hope. Seeing Bucky uphold those principles would have made for many, many, many interesting stories for movies and even TV shows. Or, maybe comics, if, the MCU decided to do that. Not to mention we could have also gotten that badass suit from the comics. But unfortunately, sometimes a man as simple as myself can only dream of such epicness. Or maybe I just have to do better. Oh god, no, wait!
You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up.
You are so disappointing on so many levels.
God damn it, I should have kept my mouth shut. Oh, well, you know what they say. Karma's a bitch.
How? How? How?
I don't know!
I need to ask you all a serious question, which we're probably gonna get a half-assed answer to in the movie, but how, oh how, in the name of all things holy, divine, and demonic, is Captain Falcon gonna fight let alone defeat the Red Hulk. I like to remind everyone that not only does General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross have the strength and power of the Hulk, but he can also set shit on fire to catastrophic levels, and I mean catastrophic. Another addition to this predicament is that, so far, we know that Sam hasn't received his super premium roids flu shot yet. Something that, would help him survive a punch from a Hulk. Like, seriously, the poster depicting the big fight for the movie looks cool and all. Still, it doesn't explain or justify how Sam, a normal man with a metallic frisbee and the world's best flight maneuver gear, is taking a hit from a Hulk. Also, about the poster, I get that it's paying homage to the number 230 Then Came the Hulk Captain America issue, but I have a question. What exactly is generating the spark effect on the poster? I get that Hulk's skin is mad sturdy, especially against bullets, but I really don't seem to recall Hulk's skin being durable to the point where a simple scrape from or against any kind of metal alloy generates sparks. I don't know, maybe it's just me complaining about a small inconsistent detail, but, to each their own, I suppose.
The message.
Look, I could go on and on and on and on to the top of Wayne Enterprises about this topic. But let's be real, there's gonna be some form of this in the movie even if they try their best to hide it and sneak it in. But to keep this video as positive as possible, I'll cut it some slack. However, I will say this: Hollywood, Marvel, Disney, Lucasfilm, Warner, sometimes DC, I'm not too certain. Everyone, including myself, is sick and tired of this horse pucky. Stop practicing it.
That's all, folks.
Well, now that all that's said and done in the laziest form possible, I'll conclude with that I honestly really want this movie to do great. With all the hell it was put through, shit, they went through a bajillion reshoots and test screenings were awful 3 times over. That's how you know they really had to take a step back and realize they can't have their cake and eat it too. But all in all, even after production hell bent the film over and went in bone dry, and, a lot of my hope being distinguished in the process, I learned to have faith in things that don't seem too promising to deliver well. Maybe it's just me being optimistic, but I'll have to wait and see it for myself to determine if it really is as bad as the media and critics are making it out to be before release. Or if everything I said was just a pile of duty.
Is that duty?
I'm doing the dishes, Joe. I'll change you in a minute.
Only time will tell, and luckily time is on our side since the film releases next week during lovey-dovey Valentine's weekend that I'll more than likely be spending alone like usual. Yeah, I'm not that lucky myself to celebrate Valentine's Day, but it's nice to cope. And hey, don't let my word stop you from seeing the movie. Go ahead and see it for yourself, and let me know what you think in the comments in this video and when I make a review for the movie. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now.